Well, the day Lindsey Graham gets subpoenaed, that's a good morning, I say. Dana Goldberg, working blue on Twitter, said Lindsey Graham has been subpoenaed by the Fulton County DA and GA, and I'm not going to lie, I just had a tiny little orgasm over, which is the first time probably any woman has come for Lindsey Graham.
Oh, Dana Louise.
What? Hey.
Sure, you've got to read the parenthetical so people don't get offended.
You said this isn't a gay joke. Lots of men can't make women come, so calm down.
True.
I don't need people coming after me about the homophobic. A lot of men can't make women come, so that's not my
Oh,
fault.
goodness.
Oh, dear.
Actually,
So
it's
blue.
literally not my fault because
Okay.
I don't have the same problem.
All right. You're sensitive because you almost lost your lesbian card. You said my lesbian friends threatened to take away my lesbian card because I don't have cats, but I just changed the garbage disposal all by myself, so my lesbian card is safe for another month. I need you to back off. All right.
Yeah.
It
was a very butch moment, and I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I was incredibly proud of myself for changing a garbage disposal.
I can't do that, and
it worked.
And I'm wildly allergic to cats, so I, clearly have lost my lesbian card. All right. It could be a good week. You you had some more advice for Rudy Giuliani. You said before Drunkles McCare die goes to testify in Georgia, someone should probably remind him, Giuliani, that the fifth is an amendment and not a small bottle of alcohol. I think that's a good tip for him.
He's like, I'll take the fifth 6 times. You can't, sir. That's actually an entire bottle of vodka. You can't take the fifth 6 times.
You can't. It's reporting this morning, Dana, Maggie Haberman saying this is, of course, the ones Trump is really worried about is Georgia, as he should be. Mm-hmm. It's on tape,
should be.
Right?
Well, a lot of the reasons he should worry is that this is a civil case. It's a state case. So like people that like Lindsey Graham that are trying to sue to get out of the subpoena, it's not the same thing as a federal or congressional subpoena at this point where apparently you can just skate and walk away. Lindsey Graham can go to jail even as a senator for defying a civil subpoena from Fani Willis.
And as legal experts point out, Dana, he cannot avoid this. It is not a senatorial part of his senatorial duties. It was a political act what he did. To call a neighboring state to try to get them to disqualify votes is not in your senatorial duties.
Let's be very specific. Not just any votes, black votes.
Yes.
So let's be very specific about that. The other thing, and I don't know the law about this, when he's like, they don't have jurisdiction over me, I would be interested to know, and I'm sure one of our listeners knows, if you call and commit a crime in another state, there has to be something about that crime was also committed in Georgia, depending on the laws of recording calls and things like that.
And how do you get to be on the Judiciary Committee if you don't answer subpoenas? I mean,
Well, all these guys, Jordan, I can't buy a jacket, Jordan, and all these other guys that wanted to be on this committee are now, saying I'm not going to follow the subpoena. So apparently if it's congressional, you can just do it, which is insane.
Yeah. This is why we love The Daily Beans, which is co-hosted by you and Allison Gill of Mueller. She wrote, she tweeted, Dana Goldberg, I wonder how many impeachable defenses he can commit in the next 15 days. I'm afraid to ask. Allison Gill, neither of us have the cold, dead, black heart of Donald Trump, so we just aren't capable of imagining what he's going to do next.
So what the crazy thing about this tweet series, and you may not know this, there was an episode of The Daily Beans recorded on January 5th, 2021, where Allison and I were basically talking about all of the things that are about to happen with Oath Keepers, and that one of them getting arrested, and what other impeachable crimes is Trump going to commit. And then the attack on the Capitol happened the next day. Yeah. It was like a Simpsons episode.
Yeah.
We were like, we projected all of this.
Oh my God, it's always worse than you can imagine, right? Or we say something as a joke and then he does it. I'm just like, what? No. Okay. Well, I guess I'm feeling happy clappy. Allison calmed me again this morning on Twitter.
She's very good at it.
Well, she was talking about, obviously the DOJ needs to make sure testimony is consistent. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't necessarily mean they haven't done their own work, but they need to make sure they're lining up testimony so that we don't get acquittals if they do prosecute, correct?
Right. Absolutely. We've talked about that before. Both of these they're running simultaneously. They have everything to do with each other and nothing to do with each other. Mm-hmm. And the DOJ has to be very careful not to taint these cases and the other way around. They're both equally as important right now. I actually don't know how they balance that just because I don't know the law when it comes to those sorts of things. But I imagine there's so much overlap that they have to keep separated.
I do enjoy Liz Cheney's, like trash talk. I feel like her adjusting her cup every time she takes a shot at the DOJ. Just there's no reason DOJ needs to wait. Just arrange my junk again.
Hey, how you doing? She's
you
a
feel like
little
that?
Joey bag of donuts, just
Right.
like a little Joey bag of donuts.
Yeah.
To say, I don't know why the DOJ's
Don't know what they're waiting for. Don't know what they're
I
waiting
ain't
for over
doing-
there. Hey, were you up? What, are they not getting an alarm clock over there? Okay.
Robert in Florida is actually her speechwriter.
Yes. Yeah, Liz Cheney, for the straight sister is kind of butch. I just got to say. I mean,
I know. Are you sure you're the one that's not fighting marriage equality for any? I don't know. Just something inside you want to talk about. She can stay on that team. I don't need her. I'm happy she's fighting for democracy right now, but we don't need her. We don't need any of the people that they're speculating about. We don't need Mike Pence. We don't need Lindsey Graham. Wherever you sit on that spectrum, you go ahead and stay over there.
Yeah. So Mick Mulvaney, all these people, this is why Now a Warning exists. All of your books should be called Now a Warning. And also we have a I'm not going to buy your stupid book t-shirt as well. It's Stephanie Miller.
Now a warning?
He wrote a column for the Charlotte Observer that criticizes Republicans for abjectly ignoring the stunning revelations that have recently emerged from the January 6th Select Committee. It's always like, first of all, he was in the thick of all this. So it is now a warning. However, he said, despite all the flaws in the structure of the heavily Democrat committee, like they always have to do this both sides bolt, right? To still try to keep some cred as I'm a Republican. Almost all the evidence presented so far is coming in eminently credible sources, Republicans. Well, first of all, inherent in that is, only Republicans are credible. But then he says, but none of them can be credibly diagnosed with Trump derangement syndrome. When Republicans start testifying under oath that other Republicans lost the 2020 election, then broke the law to try to change that, Republicans should pay attention. Everybody should. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, Dana. I'm tired of them tiptoeing and sort of doing the right thing years later and saying the right thing, but they didn't do it at the time. They didn't. Trump has always been a lunatic. They didn't just discover this. Right.
Exactly, and all of them had an opportunity to come forward without being subpoenaed. And I know that they're trying to do this dance because for some reason he still has a lot of power, which is interesting because when he endorses some candidates, they lose. And when he endorses others, they win. None of it makes any sense.
Right.
And so at this point, I would cut. I'd let the horse go. If you ever heard the John Mulaney bit, loose in the hospital, like just
horse
let
in the
him
hospital,
go.
let the horse go.
Yeah.
let the horse go out of the hospital. And just leave them. I know that they're rallying behind DeSantis at this point, and if you read a lot of the articles, a lot of the mega donors are turning their back on Trump, and they're talking about funneling their money into other candidates.
Well, that is something.
Oh,
Republicans would sell their mother.
Probably are.
And if you've ever funneled your mother, I mean, but case in point, Kellyanne Conway, who can also shut the up. I'm not buying your stupid book. Maybe my favorite new T-shirt, in addition to Now a Warning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. However, she expressed her concern about Trump's obsession with the 2020 election. She swears that despite Trump's rants about the January 6th attack, his team is selling about him losing the 2020 election. He's actually sad and frustrated about the direction of the country. Oh, please, no, he's not. She's still like angling to be his campaign manager if he runs. It sounds like, right? Where she's like claims that Biden and Harris have ruined the country. Oh my God. But she claims, Trump is really sad and frustrated about the direct. He's frustrated about. He needs to stay out of jail. That's why he's talking about announcing again. Oh my God.
Also, please let's not pretend that he actually has human emotions. Like he can actually. He's a sociopath. He's not sad and he's not frustrated.
No. She believes Mr. Trump would be making a mistake to campaign in 2024 on what he claims was a stolen election in 2020. Though she believes the election wasn't conducted fairly. Okay. She refused to talk about the stolen election because she knows it wasn't stolen. Oh my God. They're all awful. Saying that people like Rudy Giuliani had time to show evidence and didn't, we've got to move on. Well, then you need to ask her, so why do you think the election wasn't conducted fairly? On what basis do you, because you just want to give a nod to the election deniers, right?
Yeah.
Well, making is saying, you can't have it both ways. We need to move on. But, we all know it wasn't really fair. Right. I mean, it's...
Well, they lost every single lawsuit except one, and they didn't win that one. It was more of a neutral ruling.
Right.
There was plenty of times where they asked for evidence and there was none. It was like 50 lawsuits they lost. Joe Biden won the presidency more than any other president in U.S. history.
Yeah. Which woke up. He won Georgia again.
He won Arizona again.
Okay. Arizona again, and by more votes than originally. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, obviously, I think a big driver in the midterms is going to be Roe, but also, just this mass carnage. This is the Lake County State's attorney on this latest massacre in Highland Park.
Well, his statement was voluntary. He was questioned in the Highland Park Police Department. He was read his Miranda warnings, offered attorneys, etc. He went into details about what he had done. He admitted to what he had done. And I was also asked the question if he said why he did it. We don't want to speculate on motives right now.
I do. Wrapped in a Trump flag at a Trump rally.
I think legally they
Angry.
can't.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
One more.
There was probable cause to hold him at this time for 7 counts of first-degree murder. We have filed those counts alleging the intentional killing of 7 individuals. Based on the information that the investigation has produced so far, the judge found that the evidence was at such a level that he could be held without bond. Also, because the fact that it is a mandatory life sentence.
You know, Dana, we were saying that different things from everything hit us differently. You know, Buffalo is my hometown. You know, certainly the kids in Uvalde and little girl being able to be identified only by her sneakers. I mean, you know, the toddler, the 2-year-old who lost both his parents, and this one, of course, is resonating with everybody. But, you know, for me, I'm so close to my mom, and, you know, she's not doing well right now. She's 99. But that girl that was running with her mom, I don't know if you saw that interview.
No, I did.
Running with her mom. Mom got shot in the chest. Mm-hmm. She knew she was dead immediately and had to say, I love you, but I have to keep running because he's still shooting. You know, she said she was my best friend. I had the best mom anyone could have for 22 years. We did everything together. And, you know, just talking about it, she waved at every single float. She was that lady. Mm. You know, and you just think of the joy. They just had minutes before they're running for their lives and shot to death. And
I was talking to a friend of mine who grew up in that city, and she is in her 50s, and she and several of her camp friends, they've stayed in touch for 45 years. They all know someone who was shot. They all know mothers that were shot and are in the hospital. They knew 5 or 6 people that had been injured, and I think 2 of the people that died. Like, these things start to hit closer and closer to home because the mass shootings get more and more numerous. Mm-hmm. It's going to be, the day's not that far off that every one of us is somehow first-hand impacted by one of these shootings if we haven't already been.
It's the girl that was shot in the face and posted on Twitter that day, blood all over her face, and just said, "This is insane. I've just been shot at a 4th of July parade and nothing will change." I mean, it's you know, I know it's hard, you know, Dan, when we say this time, unfortunately, we don't mean one exact because there's too many. Now we're already like, oh, Uvalde was how many ago now? And how long ago was Buffalo now? But I mean,
there was
this
5
time, meaning,
mass shootings. There was 5 mass shootings. I know, and I know I'm raising my voice and I'm not a fun comedian right now. 5 mass shootings on July 4th. Mm-hmm. A mass shooting constitutes of 4 or more people getting injured by a gun. They don't have to die. Yeah. There were 5 that day that they know of, that were actually reported, that were big enough to make the news.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's what I mean, but I feel like this time, maybe because it's so many of them, maybe because they're all so horrific, maybe because we're so close to the midterms, but I really feel like there is a groundswell I haven't felt before that it is, you know, that is proving out in polling.
I agree. And I also think that there's people that are still saying that are Republican. They're just not Trumpers. Right. And so there's these people in the middle that are changing party affiliation. There's people that are seeing him for what he is based on the hearings. Thank God that are changing party affiliation. And I mean, I hate to say this, they lost more voters in the pandemic than we did. And so they're trying to gerrymander the hell out of the maps, make sure there's voter restriction. And now they're losing voters because of this hearing. They're going to do everything they can to stifle votes in this midterm election. And we have to do everything we can to get out there, period. There's no other option at this point.
I say we go for the jugular, you know? You put the picture of this mother wrapped literally in a Trump flag next to a picture of the cop with his hands over his face with the caption, "We don't need to live like this," with strollers and blood everywhere.
I'm not going to lie, just to bring a little levity into this story, you know, they announced that he dressed like a woman to fit in. And of course, there's some lunatic on the right that's going to talk and change that into a trans issue about how easy it is. And I'm like, he also dressed as Where's Waldo at a Trump rally. So maybe let's not talk about his disguise and how that means anything. He was insane.